Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Behind the Weebs, a look behind the scenes of SunnyCon Anime Expo and basically what we do and what it takes to run an anime convention in the United Kingdom. So this is episode 5 of Behind the Weebs, and today we're looking at rivals and different other events around the country. This comes from a recent event has set up shop in Newcastle, and it's perfect time to talk about it. So this other event, I'm not going to name them because it's nothing to us really. It's just we see our fans react and say like, oh, this event and that event, and I'd just like to give you a little bit behind the scenes, like what we do in relation to other events and competition. So we run a convention that is nationally known. It's known throughout the United Kingdom. We're not Newcastle centric. We're now Liverpool as well. And we go to other conventions across the country. I mean, we've been to ones in Carlisle, Coventry, down in London. There's others in Plymouth, up in Dundee in Scotland, Glasgow as well. All over the country, there's all these different conventions. And if we go back to when we started in 2012, you could probably count all of the conventions in the whole of the UK on your hands and toes. And there was a time when you could book a venue and your timetable it so you didn't clash with other events around the country. But we've seen a huge surge in anime and gaming and comics and all of that just. And with that, we've seen it where there's been more events added as people have used more diverse venues. Like we started at leisure centres, so we've seen more in leisure centres. There's libraries are now being used. It's not just big like arenas or hotels. There's lots of little places here and there, art galleries we've seen them at, and it's become more versatile where you can hold an event, and we've seen like a really big oversaturation in the market. Now, for us from a business sense, obviously more competition and oversaturated market means that there's going to be more competition. There's going to be a lot more events vying for customers, and the customer base, it's been growing steadily, I'd like to say, but it hasn't been growing at the length where it can accommodate 5 or 6 events every week. And for us as a convention, we want to have obviously a huge attendance. It's more revenue for us. It helps us grow. But we understand, people are going to set up events where we are. I think in the Northeast alone, when we started, there was only really one other event. And we said, well, gap in the market. Let's hold one in Sunderland. And from there, I think the counter dates, about 38 events have happened between 2012 and 2018. And there's only 5 of us who are mainstays now. And obviously we're proud of the fact that we've sat there and weathered any storm that's came our way, and we've cemented our reputation as a must attend event, and that's not going to change. And we know other conventions are going to come in and be like, oh well, we're basically the same. We might be cheaper, or we run differently. But for us, it's we can't take that as personally. We don't take it as a challenge as oh, let's have some turf wars, let's have a bit of rough housing, and let's cause some drama. We're not like that. We understand that other events will rise, and they will show up, and if you want to go and support them, go and support them. That's that's their deal, that's them. But we as an event, we focus solely on what we do, and I think it's one of the reasons we're successful, because we've seen other event organisers come and go, and other events rise up, and when they have came to us for advice or just in general gossip. I mean, conventions do gossip to each other, surprisingly. And we have friends all across the different conventions. We visit them. We're attendees as well, so we get right in there. We got feedback from attendees, convention organisers alike, and we know who runs what and where. And there used to be this unspoken rule of you can't run a convention within a month of when we run a convention anywhere. But like I say, the markets became that oversaturated that we're now at a point that you can't help but clash with other events. And this whole kind of, I don't know, I don't want to call it a gentleman's code, But it was kind of like, a common like courtesy of like, well, I'm not going to run because we're similar events. But the calendar is that packed these days that you can't help but be clashing with somebody else. I think last SunnyCon we clashed with one of the big replay events up in Glasgow. It's going to happen because that's business. That's capitalism. Is Burger King going to kick off that McDonald's is building a restaurant just down the road? No, they're going to try and focus on making the best burgers and selling them that way. And that's the attitude that we take. We don't go, oh no, we've got competition. It's like, well, yes, there's competition. It could work for us. It could bring more people into anime like conventions, and then they go like, oh well, what alternatives is there? I've enjoyed this event. What other events are in the area? And we'll be like, hello, SunnyCon, we're here. And like, oh, I never heard of you. And we get customers that way. But as an overall thing, like I said, we focus on us. We're not into the drama of it. Like, oh, this event. We'll focus on us. We'll take any feedback that we get, and it's just extra market research. Because, like you said, we go to other events. We watch what the other events do, and it's not saying that we go to the events and sit there and cosplay, like quietly judging and doing market research with little notepads, like, oh, they've done this. But there are times when we've seen and we're like, we could nick that and put it at SunnyCon, but give our own spin on it. And that's what businesses do. That's anything. The evolution. You take the good and you add it to your event, and then try and further yourself that way. Or you can come up with your own completely original ideas along the way. Who knows? And that's always been SunnyCon's stance. Me, myself, I'm like ambassador. I'm not, I'm obviously, I kind of high up in the food chain, but Donna is like the chairwoman, and I know herself, she doesn't really pay much attention to other events. That's kind of my foray. For Donna, she's in charge of, like, she runs the financing, she runs the guests, she runs the table bookings. She does quite a lot. And for me, I'm the one who has to sit there and go, right, this event, what are they doing? How many followers do they have? Is there any crossover? Can we, flyer at that event perhaps? Who knows? We sometimes do cross promotions. We've done cross promotions with lots of events in the past. And it's always this thing where people, whenever a new event crops up, people think, oh, you're going to hate each other. Well, it's not really that. There's no real hate in the community. Yes, organisers will bitch about other events, to other organisers. I've been part of it. I've been guilty of it at sometimes, and it's just one of those things. It's like you do like the gossip. I'm not saying all convention organisers like the gossip, but there's some kind of like sit back attitude of like, there's quiet judgment. To take forward with different conversations and different discussions, because that's just the nature of the business. But to say, like, it's gossip, it's not necessarily malicious gossip. Sometimes it's we share ideas. Sometimes I've given different agents contacts to other events, or even past guests who've been interested in our event onto other events and say, look, we can't host you this year, but is this event here that'll be eager. And sometimes we've seen that guest actually get accepted and brought over. And we do try to help each other out, and there is a sense of community within con organisers, just as there's like different pockets of community within, like, artists and traders. They have their own little groups and whatnot. Con organisers, we have ours, attendees have theirs, and it's not really like a whole imperialist, like, nationalist kind of like, this is our territory, you can't come in, you don't barge in here. It's not that. It's more of a motivation. If an event sets up near you, like location wise, and if they're within a certain time frame, you don't look at it as like, competition, they're going to drain our funds, no, we're doomed. You don't take that kind of attitude, because that's how you feel. If you start focusing on other events in a personal manner rather than looking at it in a professional way of like, right then, we've got competition, great, let's use that competition, let's make it better, let's, and then, and not in a dick measuring contest kind of way, like, let's make ours better than theirs and we will slaughter them. We're not like that. We take a measured approach of like, well, they're doing it, let's just double down on our efforts on our side of it, let's make sure we have like better panels, better events, make sure everything runs smoothly, the operational side of it. The cosplay contest runs smoothly, every kind of registration. Is there anything we can do to the website to make it a smoother more manageable like experience like when they're not at the event? Do we look at like developing an app and having schedules and that? These are all the things that we're looking into now for SunnyCon on ways to improve. So as an attitude, I'm not going to lie, like, say like we don't care 100%, like, if other events are, we do take notice. It's to just blindly ignore it and say, oh, we don't care, we're just nonchalant, like, let them do it. It's not that. It's the attitude is do it for SunnyCon. If you run an event, focus on your event. Do not focus on anything else. Do not focus on, outside goings unless it's from a market research point of view. And even then, I mean, you can learn from other events' mistakes, but the best mistakes to learn from are your own. And we have made so many mistakes in the past that we're confident enough that we now have a grasp. Like, we have the foundation there. We know what can go wrong, and we've been at a point where everything has went wrong. Even stuff like we can control and other stuff that's out of our control. Everything has went wrong for us at one point, and we've become stronger for it. And when you see it happen to other events and that, you have pity, you have sympathy, no matter what event it is, even if the event has a bad reputation or the event hates you. As an organizer, it kind of kills you a little inside to see, when things go bad, because you've got that empathy, you know what's gone on, and you know how bad it can be. And some events learn from it, some events don't. And I'd like to think that SunnyCon is one of them that has learned from it, and to go forward to make a much better event. Now it's this thing in the community, like I say, people are like, oh, well, they're setting up this event and it's so close, and they're obviously going for a turf war. And that. It's like, personally, we haven't been contacted by any event like declaring war. there's no waving of flags or nobody's sneaking into our events, sneakily handing out flyers here and there. And it's been the same for other events and that. We've asked permission, we've got flyers there. Sometimes there's cooperation, there's communication, and like I say, we're friends with some events, and other events that we aren't. We're not really on bad terms. It's just we haven't networked enough, or we're awkward. It's a weird thing to be in the business of you've got a network and network with a lot of people, to have like this kind of anxiety with other event organisers. Like, hi. Because I've been at other conventions. I've been like backstage to do little announcements for SunnyCon at the time, and I've seen like other con organisers there as well. And it's like, oh, that's the guy from this convention. And I'm like, oh, I've heard of it. And you just sit there like kind of like, oh, he or she, they sit there and they're like, just there's no communication. It's just that awkward thing. It's kind of like a doctor's waiting room. So this has been episode 5 of Behind the Weebs. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. And once again, SunnyCon Expo is on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Discord. All the little social media things. So if you're not following us, please follow us. Especially on YouTube. I think we're about 12 subscribers from 500. So bloody close. I've been Tucky, and once again, hope this has been educational. See you later.